the mighty and resilient Merrimack River, carving through the communities of our great region. My name is Linda Lorden, proud president of Merrimack County Savings Bank, and like the river that serves as our namesake, we're a constant yet ever-changing presence. Because to us, it's bigger than banking. It's about powering communities and putting people first. It's about knowing where you came from and where you're going. That's Merrimack style. Visit us at themerrimack.com.
Hello, thank you for joining me in this week's podcast. I hope you're going to enjoy the training material contained within. Any questions? Get in touch. Mail at learningbritishaccent.com. Section 1. Added sounds. When I was putting together the information for pronunciation problems for African speakers, I was reminded that some native African speakers can add an extra sound into some words. It's known as epenthesis, and certainly not restricted to African speakers. So it's definitely something to be aware of, as it may be affecting your RP British English pronunciation and your spelling. I'd also like to note that this habit can be heard in native English speakers, so be wise that the pronunciation that you're hearing from a British English speaker may not necessarily be correct. So what are these additional sounds that we can hear in some words? Well, some people add an extra A sound in the middle of the word athlete, for example. So it sounds up sounding like athlete, rather than the correct pronunciation, which is, of course, athlete. Athlete, athlete. And it is quite common to hear the E sound added in the middle of the word jewellery. So it sounds like jewellery, jewellery, when actually the correct pronunciation is jewellery, jewellery. So not jewellery, but jewellery. Sometimes we also hear a P sound, P, added in the middle of some words. So have you heard something being pronounced as something, something? Or hamster being said as hamster, hamster. Some other common additions are found in film, which is actually meant to be film. So film instead of film. And warm becomes warm, warm. And real, real becomes real, 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 not real. In some words, people add the sound in the middle, so the word snow becomes snow, snow. Play is heard as play, play, rather than play. And an sound is added between the B and the L of blue, so it becomes blue, blue. Similarly, we hear it in the word grow, which some people put that sound as grow, when it should be grow, not grow. Grow, grow. Have you come across any other examples of when an additional sound is added to a particular word? If so, I would love to hear your experiences. Mail at learningbritishaccent.com is the email address. Section 2. So I've put together a little quiz on the extra sounds that we talked about, so you can hear the different pronunciations and select which is the correct one. You can find the quiz at learningbritishaccent.com/added-sounds-quiz. I'll put the link in the show notes. So in the quiz you'll have an audio file to listen to, and you will select which pronunciation, 1 or 2, is the correct one. Link in the show notes. Section 3. The North-South Accent Divide. Recently I was reminded of an article from the UK newspaper The Guardian, which I thought you'd find really interesting. The article highlights the prejudice shown against people who speak with a Northern English accent against those who speak with a Southern English accent. Although I find the broad division between North and South a bit misleading, for example, the West Country accent heard in the southwest of England can often be presented negatively. It still shows how the standard RP accent is favoured over more regional accents. As the article says, accent discrimination has real-world implications. We do find that children with stigmatised accents are less likely to get high marks at school. People are more likely to be found guilty in court. They are less likely to be offered a job after an interview. They are also less likely to be given access to social housing. It's an interesting read, and I'll put the article link in the show notes. If you'd like to reduce your native accent and develop a more standard, neutral British accent, why not let my course give you a helping hand? Go to learningbritishaccent.com/bundle. Section 4. Conversation phrases beginning with the letter N. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. You can say this when meeting someone for the first time. Here's some examples with the phrase, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I'm so glad I'll be working with you on this project. Nice to meet you after hearing Sam talk about her new neighbour all week. It was very nice to meet you last night at Kelly's party. We'll have to get coffee sometime and continue chatting. George made great conversation at dinner, and it was genuinely nice to meet you, George. Thanks for taking the time to interview me today. I enjoyed learning more about this role, and it was nice to meet you, Ms. Klein. No hard feelings. No hard feelings. You can say this to someone you've argued or competed with to let them know you've no bad feelings towards them. No hard feelings if you can't make it to the party tomorrow night. I know you have to work. I know tensions were running high earlier, but no hard feelings, okay? Let's move forward. Even though you got the job over me, no hard feelings. I know you were qualified. I apologise for being short with you the other day. No hard feelings. Congratulations again on the promotion. I hope there are no hard feelings that I applied to. No harm done. No harm done. You can say this if a mistake or accident hasn't seriously harmed anyone or damaged anything. And here's some examples of the phrase no harm done. No harm done. Accidents happen, so don't worry about bumping into me. No harm done that you spilled wine on my rug. This old thing has seen worse spills anyway. Don't worry about running late. No harm done. The movie doesn't start for another 20 minutes anyway. I know your elbow knocked my vase over in excitement, but really no harm done at all. You look so worried about backing into me, but there's no scratch or dent. No harm done to the car or me. Not that I know of. Not that I know of. You can say this if you've been asked a question, and to the best of your knowledge, the answer is no. And here's some examples using the phrase, not that I know of. The boss didn't mention anything, not that I know of, about mandatory overtime this weekend. There aren't any new food restrictions, not that I know of, but check with your doctor to stay up to date. The computer servers seem to be working fine. Not that I know of any issues affecting website access this morning. I believe the deadline to register is next week, but there haven't been any extensions mentioned, not that I know of. I haven't heard about any cast changes, not that I know of, but buy tickets early anyway. That show sells out fast. Not to worry. Not to worry. You can say this if you think something isn't important or serious enough to worry about. And here's some example sentences with the phrase, not to worry. Not to worry if you can't make it to my housewarming party next Saturday. I know you have that wedding to attend. Not to worry if you need to reschedule our meeting today. I have a pretty flexible schedule. Not to worry if you run a little late to dinner. The reservation is for 7:30 and we'll hold your seat. I know the computer glitch deleted your presentation slides, but not to worry. The IT department can recover backup files from yesterday. I realise you forgot your presentation flash drive, but not to worry, we can pull up your slides on the cloud drive instead. Don't freak out about the gravy spill on the tablecloth. Not to worry, this stain remover will lift that stain right up. Can I just take a moment to break in here? You can get access to quizzes and members-only posts when you become a member of the British Accent Bundle at learningbritishaccent.com. And of course, you also get access to both the British Accent training courses. That's the RP British Accent Pronunciation course and the Ultimate RP British Accent Learning Resource. You can get all of this for under £7 per month. So if you select the yearly membership option at only £79, you can get immediate access to all these resources. So for less than £7 per month, you can make so much improvement to your speaking voice and gain so much confidence in your fluency and conversation skills. So why not gift yourself this opportunity? Section 5. Sometimes free is good. I've been fortunate to have some really excellent email chats with many of the Learning British Accent community this week. And a big thank you to all of you. To hear about your real-life experiences of learning the British accent and finding out direct from the horse's mouth what material would really benefit your training is priceless. It's also made me realise that I haven't done enough to raise awareness of all the free information, the videos, the audios, the text training that you can find on my blog. And today I wanted to particularly remind you of the recorded news articles that you can find at learningbritishaccent.com/category/audio-news-articles, or just go to the blog section on the website and you'll see news articles as one of the categories. On each of these posts you'll find the MP3 audio recording and the transcript of the written article. I hope they A. Provide practice to listening to longer speech, allowing you to hear intonation, rhythm, connected speech features, as well as the pronunciation. B. Provide comprehension practice. Are you understanding what is being said? C. You can record your own sections from the script and compare your version with mine. Try and pick up on the differences. This can take a little time to work out exactly what is causing these differences. And D. News articles use a variety of vocab and language, and although more formal than everyday conversation, will provide a good standard of sentence construction, grammar, punctuation to improve your written English. You will find that some blog posts do require a login, which means you need to join the British Accent Bundle to get access. And I've got a special code for all the podcast listeners to get 20% off the 12-month subscription to the British Accent Bundle if you put code XMUS23 into the coupon code in the checkout process. You can claim your 20% discount. So go to learningbritishaccent.com/bundle, select the 12-month subscription option, and enter code XMUS23 to claim your 20% discount. As I've mentioned the news articles as a particular free resource on the website learningbritishaccent.com, I'm going to include one now just as an example. so I hope you enjoy it. Coronavirus, how families can cope with self-isolating together. Whether you're living in a massive 6-bedroomed house or all sharing a smaller 2-bed flat, we're all going to feel the walls closing in a little bit more, says Eloise Rickman, who runs courses on homeschooling. Feeling cooped up might be just one of several potential knock-on effects as more families self-isolate together following the coronavirus outbreak. The government's current advice is that if anyone develops symptoms, everyone they live with must self-isolate. And although schools are currently open, closures are expected in the coming days. Among the families already in quarantine are Annie Ridout, 34, her husband and her 3 young children. 2 of her children have developed symptoms. It's a very weird time, she said. We're focusing on getting through it and being as upbeat as we can. Ms. Ridout, who teaches online courses for freelancers and entrepreneurs, says she has created a daily schedule for her school-aged children. An hour of maths, my husband has been doing that in the morning, and then an hour of reading and writing. There will be creative time, artwork, and then time in the garden, digging and getting muddy. And that will be it. She says originally she planned a schedule with 30-minute chunks, but it's now less rigid and more focused on ticking off tasks each day. We had to loosen up in terms of accepting they're going to watch telly, she says. Miss Rickman from South London agrees that a schedule is important, especially for children who are already at nursery or school and will be used to routine. Children really thrive on predictability, especially when life is changing around them, she says. But the 31-year-old who already homeschools her children stresses that any schedule should be more like a flow rather than something strict. She suggests creating weekly or daily activities and then read the plan out or stick it on the wall. Maybe Wednesdays have a family film afternoon, or give teenagers some private time to Skype their friends, she suggests. Educational psychologist Subida Dasgupta also stressed the importance of structure. From her home in Brighton and Hove, where she and her family are also currently self-isolating. We know when people are faced with uncertainty or worry, having some certainties, for example through a bit of structure, could really help, she says. Although on the face of it some children may feel excited by being off school, the reality is weeks or months on end playing Xbox and watching movies may not be as fun as we think. It's about getting a balance, having a structure and integrating some fun, she says. It might be helpful to think about how we distinguish weekdays and weekends. In terms of schoolwork, some schools and teachers have already spoken about the possibility of setting work for pupils to access online. The current health crisis is certainly a unique situation for schooling, says Miss Rickman. For parents who are suddenly plunged into it, I think it could be a challenge. But she adds, I have had a few messages from families who said they have always wanted to try homeschooling and are looking forward to doing it for the first time. She says the most important thing in homeschooling is family relationships. A lot of siblings will not be used to being together all day, and that's a lovely opportunity to build and strengthen your family relationships, but it will come with some bumps in the road. She suggests parents try and carve out some one-on-one time with the children. Thinking about the environment is also important, she says, but this is not about setting up a classroom in the living room. She suggests making spaces for children to do arts or craft, for example covering a coffee table with newspaper and arranging pens in mugs, and even moving furniture. If you don't want the kids looking at the TV for 5 hours a day, think, do we need to rejig the furniture? Do we want to think about pushing tables back so the kids have space to run about, especially if you have a flat? This is a time we need to prepare for our houses to be a bit messier. Having kids about all day is going to get messy. And she says learning at home is not simply replicating school at home. It's not necessary to do 6 hours of learning like in school, she says, as lessons will be one-on-one and so more intense. But it's not just the children who may be impacted. as whole families in isolation. Parents, too, could find it a challenge. Spending hours on end every day with your children can be difficult, says Miss Rickman. She says the first piece of advice she would give to parents who are with their children at home is to think about yourself first. Our children respond so much to ourselves and our leadership, she says, especially now when things are being disrupted. I would say as a parent, the best thing to focus on before you go down rabbit holes looking for curriculum is to think about how to support yourself first, because you are that bedrock. Even just opening a window and taking 10 deep breaths, doing a free 3-minute meditation, or writing down 10 things you're grateful for, and things like limiting how much news you're taking in a day. The advice for parents is also reiterated by educational psychologist Ms. Dasgupta. People need space and time on their own, she says, urging families to have conversations to negotiate uninterrupted time alone. Ms. Dasgupta says social contact with the outside world is also vital, as well as exercise, such as going for a walk where you won't bump into anyone. If you are self-isolating after having symptoms, the NHS advises not going for a walk. Being together could feel a little like cabin fever, not just being in the space for so long, but also interacting only with the people in your immediate family, says Ms. Dasgupta. Thank God for being able to Skype and WhatsApp. But there are positives, she adds. I suppose the positives are we can spend some time together, some nice, unhurried time. We don't have to get to places and juggle all the different commitments. You can slow down. It can help you enjoy the moment a little bit more.